Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome back. For me, the music to Part 4 of the Kenobi series had the least memorable moments, but it also sounded the most like the John Williams version of Star Wars through its orchestrations out of any of the episodes so far, and had probably the best musical Easter egg so far as well, including a very special one right at the end. That means you have to watch to the end of this video to catch it. But it pairs incredibly well with all of the other Easter eggs thrown into the mix. Get ready to hit that like button. My name is Derek, and this is Star Wars Music Analysis.
Do it.
So Part 4 ended up being the shortest yet by being just over 30 minutes of actual episode, and personally I would have loved for them to have drawn out Kenobi's recovery a little bit more here, because it seems like there's a connection between Vader and Obi-Wan when they dream now. The first moment though where the music really caught me was when Reva tells Leia about Obi-Wan being dead.
Obi-Wan is dead.
Notice how the music immediately shifts as this is said. It reflects Leia's mood as she goes from being confident and outspoken to sad, afraid, and quiet. To go with this, Moses Ingram had also perfectly delivered her line as a strong whisper, and so the music was able to come down with her voice. The orchestration works well as Kenobi and Tala approach the Moon Nor, as his theme is being played by an English horn, but it begins in the middle of his theme. Using the lower, darker, and warmer version of the oboe here adds depth and tenderness to Kenobi.
Your body's not the only thing that needs to heal, Ben.
The cellos take it over next and add even more warmth as the harmonies begin to finally follow the melody now as well. I found this to be an extremely beautiful scene as Kenobi finds someone to reassure him as he struggles to reconnect with the Force while reliving his past.
We're almost there.
But instead of the theme reaching up to the octave, it drops down at that exact moment and vanishes, demonstrating that he's not actually healed or himself just yet. The high strings continue and we see glimpses of Obi-Wan's hands, followed immediately by Leia's hands, demonstrating a connection between these two characters, both visually but also audibly. The string drone keeps us thinking about Kenobi just as Leia is. As we see the Fortress Inquisitorius, the Inquisitor theme also comes back with a new variation, but check out how it then flips into the end of the first phrase of the Imperial March as we see the TIE fighters. This was a brilliant sleight of hand on Natalie Holt's part to sneak this in right after this. As Tala walks across the hangar deck of the fortress, we again get this variation from the Imperial theme. It's not the direct melody from the march, but it's the music we received for the Empire before the soundtrack for The Empire Strikes Back, where the Imperial March was actually introduced.
It's an older code, sir, but it checks out.
And we get it again as Tala passes through the checkpoint, but I also enjoy this dark take on a triumphant resolution. As we begin the next spy sequence of Kenobi sneaking around, we begin getting these espionage type drums and electronic sounds that remind me of a Mission Impossible track, which makes sense given the circumstance. But this is far less electronic than in episode 2 when he was sneaking around the facility, and it falls a little more in line with the acoustic underscoring that Williams would have done for this section. Natalie Holt finally started looking at her 90s bracelet and asking herself, what would John do? And this transition of the cellos from one rhythm to another was fun to experience. First all quarters, then to the typical 8th, dotted 8th, 16th, and then 3 more 8ths rhythm. This was probably something only I enjoyed, but it's a great "now do you get it" moment for Holt, showing how two melodic lines can connect through intervallic relationships, even if they have different rhythms, which is why we can still make connections to Vader's theme, the Imperial March, and other subtle musical hints I'll talk about later.
Here we go.
The brass attacks are again a great homage to Williams, and can we all agree that after this, the Inquisitors should probably start to rethink their home security system choices. Twice now, y'all. Twice. And a slight nod to Kenobi's theme with very heroic flavorings because
I'm in.
he's in.
Please.
After that,
Keeping
there's
down.
another Inquisitor motif with the added descending major third at the end,
Where is she?
alluding to
Keeping
Vader
down
and the
there.
Empire. Another small nod to the Imperial theme as the blind stormtroopers come around the corner, and the more I think about it, the more I like that Holt is leaning on this motif instead of the Imperial March, since that's also Vader's theme, and it's nice to have more specificity to which theme belongs to who. And Holt is once again leaning on the sul ponticello and tremolo strings that I mentioned in my Part 3 breakdown, but check out how much the music after Kenobi does the little sound trick with the Force sounds like what we hear in the Death Star scene when he pulls the same trick. There's also another similarity between these two scenes. In the Death Star scene, the two stormtroopers are talking about the new T-16, while here, they're discussing the T-15s. I don't actually know what they're referencing here. It's possibly a walker, but the level of connection here is incredible. And yeah, I could have gotten all caught up on the fact that the stormtroopers should have seen Kenobi's leg and let that ruin this scene for me, but instead, I found some really cool links that bring more depth to my experience of this show. I've been seeing so much hate for this show, but it's discrediting everything that this show is offering to us. But that's just my 2 cents on all of the hating going on for this show. It just feels a little bit toxic right now. As Kenobi continues down the tune and Leia gets closer to being tortured, the music shifts from a moderate tempo 4/4 to a faster tempo 3/4, giving a sudden jolt to the tension and the severity of the moment. And I hadn't noticed this before, but the Inquisitor boardroom is surrounded by lightsabers, likely from the Jedi that they have in that tomb. Has anyone else noticed this yet? As Kenobi rescues Leia, we get his theme again, but listen to this transition build up afterwards into the next scene. This is a classic John Williams style transition from one scene to the next that allows the tension and energy to continue into the next scene as the music goes into this upward trajectory, even as we transition to different characters and plot points, reminding us that these separate parts are all going to be and are connected. Speaking of connections, there are 2 things getting stronger throughout this episode. One is Obi-Wan's ability to use the Force. The other is his theme. It's moved from those quiet moments with woodwinds and cello when he was struggling to move things with the Force, and back to its heroic home in the horn, and it even receives a little fanfare tag from the trumpets, giving it the true sign of a warrior's theme once more. And then we continue to hear all of the John Williams brass stabs. The more I hear Holt's adaptations and scoring, the more I want her to do more with Star Wars. I'd be very curious to hear what you all think on this as well. Kenobi's theme comes through in the trombones and horn as he holds back the broken glass. You can see that this is testing his limits right now, and the low brass give a sense of weight and digging deep within oneself in this moment. Okay, and here's my favorite hidden gem in this episode. As the 2 speeders come flying in, and again, they really need to consider a new security system, but as these 2 speeders come flying in and start blasting all of the Imperials, we get this very quick 2-note attack in the brass. That 2-note attack is the same one that we hear at the very beginning of A New Hope, and countless other places as it's the beginning of the Rebel fanfare. It's even the exact same orchestration. Check it out. So, we're beginning to see the beginning of the rebellion, while we also hear the beginning of the rebellion theme. I mean, please tell me I'm not the only one geeking out about this. Holt is showing that she understands and gets Star Wars music better than anyone to date since John Williams took a step back, and I'd be very curious to hear from all of you if you feel I'm wrong for saying that. And it's really hidden, but I think that's part of the art for Natalie Holt. Hiding these things, like Easter eggs, and seeing if we can find them. And I really want to hear from you. What do you think of the music for Kenobi up to this point? Is Natalie Holt delivering what you want with this score? Is there anything that you heard that I missed? And tell me what you thought of this episode. Did you like the music? I'll be releasing a short video on Monday that will just show the Inquisitor's theme, which I'll follow up a week from now with a breakdown of it. Which I'll follow up the following week with a breakdown of it, so look for those on the following 2 Mondays. And before you go, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to learn more about the music of the galaxy far, far away. And as always, may the be with you.